Hey there, campers. My name's Kimmy.
And my name's Ryan.
We've noticed you stumbled upon our mystical campfire, so that means there's a solid chance you have some questions. Like,
why am I here? What's going on? And why are there cryptid and folklore creatures everywhere? And should I be worried about the Mothman dressed as a camp counselor swooping down to steal my s'mores?
Well, you've stumbled upon the Aloreing Campgrounds. Aloreing is a folklore podcast where every episode we dive into the history and lore of different creatures and cryptids you see wandering around these campgrounds.
And during each episode, we discuss the sightings, encounters, poems, history, fun, facts, and pop culture focused on our campfire topic that week. We hope through shared experience we can learn and make light about all the unknown corners of the universe.
So come take a seat around the campfire, make yourself at home, and listen to Aloreing Today anywhere podcasts are heard. Or watch videos on YouTube, or even go to our website, aloreing.com. That's ALOREING.com.
I'm Felicia.
And I'm Ian.
And we are the Paranormal Lovers.
Hello, paranormal dudes, dudettes, and dudays. Welcome back to the Paranormal Lovers.
Hey guys, welcome back to another week here with us in, it's actually sunny Western North Carolina today.
Rainy day Sunday.
Well, it was rainy earlier, but if you look now, there's blue skies and sunshine, so I don't know.
Yep.
Just keeps raining and get cold, and I'm like, I was just in Savannah when it was almost 90 degrees. I'm not okay.
North Carolina is notorious for flipping back and forth.
Especially
so
the mountains.
Bring a jacket and some clothes that are not so warm.
I remember when we moved up here, I remember somebody saying, especially in the springtime, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes.
Pretty much.
What'd you love about this week, babe?
This week, work was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But
got to have you a good video game weekend last weekend with Patty.
Yeah.
While I was gone.
I like playing Terraria with her yesterday.
Yeah.
I've been watching some Terraria YouTube videos and seeing how to craft stuff, and there's
Nice.
so much stuff on that game. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say I loved going to Savannah. It was a fun, great weekend. It was hot the whole time. The sun was shining, except for a little bit Saturday morning. But then it cleared up. We did not know that Orange Crush was happening on Tybee that weekend. And for anybody that doesn't know what Orange Crush is, because I had no idea what the hell Orange Crush was, it is a beach party for students of historically black colleges and university, which, dope.
I bet you love that.
It was really, really cool. For a lot of people that don't know me, I've struggled with my identity being a mixed kid and living in the world that we live in. There's a lot to be said about racism on both sides of the spectrum. I don't give a fuck who you are.
Sure.
Colorism is just as bad as blatant racism. So it was really cool to see all these black people there, but then there was such a divide. You could literally see a physical divide between the black people and the white people on the beach.
Sure.
And, I was there. I'm black. My best friend was with me. She's white. And we were like, we love the beach. It's so pretty. Let's leave. And then as we were leaving, 10 miles back into Savannah was backed up. They said 50,000 people ended up on that island.
Yeah.
And they had 40 officers.
Wow.
40 officers. They have another festival coming up either this weekend, it happened this weekend, or it'll be next weekend, called Peach Fest. They've already pulled in 100 officers to work that. And I'm like, where was y'all at last weekend?
They didn't know. It wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, it was an unpermitted beach. Well, they knew it was happening.
Right.
They just didn't get a permit in time, but they were still letting it happen. Peach Fest is the same way. Peach Fest is also a unpermitted beach party, and
Sure.
they're still letting it happen. So,
What's Peach Fest?
I didn't really look it up. I would guess it has something to do with peaches because it's Georgia, but
Georgia Peach?
who knows? Because Orange Crush, I was not expecting just a big party.
Is it a party for my friend's brother named Peaches? It's close to his birthday, that's the funny thing.
That is the funny thing.
So it was just like last week. Happy birthday, Peaches, if you listen.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm looking at it right now. Oh, it's on TikTok. I don't want to get on TikTok.
I don't blame you.
I'm not sure exactly what Peach Fest is for. It's another beach party. It looks like it's only the second annual Peach Fest this year. But when you like Google it and scroll down through it, you're seeing a lot about the police presence.
You think white people got jealous and they're like, we want our own spring break.
We gotta go have some peaches. Get us some peaches.
There were too many black people last week.
Oh, we're so scared. It looks like it does look like it's more of a white person festival.
I wish I could have went with you. Cause like, I'm kind of comfortable around black people a little more now.
Yeah. It's
my opinion kind of switched when the whole Donald Trump thing was going on.
I think your opinion switched right around the time you met your wife. But
this is true. I mean, just, having a mixed wife and a mixed kid.
It's not necessarily, I wouldn't say that your opinion has changed. I would say that you've learned and you've grown as a person.
It's true.
And that's the thing a lot of people, and, we don't really like to talk about politics too much, but there's such an extreme divide and everybody is wanting to stay stuck in their position. They're right. They know everything.
People don't want to change.
And they don't want to change because, I get it. I don't like change. I'm tired. I'm lazy. I don't want to do it. It gives me a lot of mental health issues and I don't like it. Sure. But we still have to grow as people. We have to learn and we have to grow, and people just don't want to do that.
You have to start, loving people.
Like, they think they're perfect the way they are, and it's like, none of us are perfect.
If you don't love people, then what are you doing in life?
Yeah. Like, ain't none of us white Jesus. Calm down, okay? All right. So, today, hey, we had 6 minutes of chit-chatting in there. Nice. All right.
How you guys doing?
Yeah. Hope you guys had a good week. Let's see. From allthat'sinteresting.com, and that is a great source I use them for a lot of my stories. Quote, on March 26, 1997, the Heaven's Gate cult became forever infamous when 39 members were found dead after committing mass suicide. Here's why they did it. End quote. Look, I got goosebumps. We need a goose cam, and that's why We Drink does. They have a goose cam, so you can see their goose bumps.
You've told me a little bit about this, but I'm interested to hear all the goodies with all this one.
And I apologize, you guys, if you guys hear some paper rustling. I went to type up my notes, and I did not save them, so I lost them. So I decided didn't want to spend 4 hours doing it today.
I don't blame you.
So I have heard this story a few times on the podcast. That's where I've told you about it from.
Sure.
While I was in Savannah with Lauren, we watched it in the inn that we were staying in. It was just late at night. We were tired. Just let's watch some TV. And
what was it on?
CNN. Actually, it was a CNN special. We watched that, and then we watched the Theranos, which that might actually be an interesting kind of conspiracy-ish topic. But I don't know, for some reason, watching it on the big 65-inch TV that was in our in our room
made it interesting.
Marshall Applewhite was terrifying. Okay. That large in my face.
Right.
I've had 2 D8 gummies and 2 drinks. I was not okay. So, Marshall Applewhite, Marshall Herf Applewhite Jr., was born on May 17th in 1931 in Spur, Texas, to a minister. There was not a lot about his childhood other than he was very devout in his faith. Mm-hmm. And white people in Texas in 1930.
Sure.
Just use your imagination. It is said that he did attend several universities, including the University of Colorado, and he graduated from Austin College in 1952. He also spent time in the Signal Corps. You ever heard of the Army
For
Signal
like
Corps?
the Navy or
The Army Signal Corps. According to Wikipedia, quote, the U.S. Army Signal Corps is a branch of the U.S. Army that creates and manages communications and information systems for the command and control of combined armed forces, end quote.
They do it with like flags and stuff too, right? Like,
No, they're not like air traffic guys. They handle all the communication systems within all the armed forces.
okay.
So like all their radios and stuff like that, they're the ones that handle all that communication that comes through.
Gotcha.
And it's funny because I never heard of him being in the Signal Corps. Maybe I just didn't pay attention to that part. But when I actually looked into what the Signal Corps was, I was like, considering where Marshall goes with this cult, it's a coincidence that he was in a branch of the military that handled sensitive and classified communications and informations.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Interesting.
Right.
But I think Marshall had issues far beyond anything that happened in the military.
Sure.
In 1952, he got married. I didn't find his wife's name, and I didn't really feel like looking it up because that poor woman, if she's alive, just leave her alone. She was married to this man.
Yeah.
And had 2 children with him.
Right.
And I'm not sure what happened with his family, but during this time, Marshall moved to New York City to pursue becoming a singer and actor because while he was in college, he was involved in drama and singing, and he was actually really good at it. While he was at college, everybody thought he was great. They thought he was fun. He was like a wonderful person to be around. So,
Yeah.
after this failed, he went and worked at the University of Alabama as an assistant professor and choir master for several musical groups. He then went back to Texas to head up the music department at the University of Houston, And this is when his life begins to spiral. In 1968, Marshall and his wife divorce. I would guess she got the kids. I'm not really sure.
Right.
In 1970, he quit his job and his mental health just took a deep downward spiral. Now, we're not really sure how Marshall and Bonnie Nettles meet. His sister said that he suffered a near-death experience, and she was the nurse that helped him in the hospital. There was other accounts that said he had a student that got hurt, and he had to take him to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
There was another account that said he was in some kind of program with her daughter. Like, her daughter was in a program with him, and that's how they met.
Like dance or something.
Yeah, and so I'm not really sure, but around 1972, he meets Bonnie Nettles.
Gotcha.
Bonnie Lou Nettles was born Truesdale. She was born August 29th, 1927, and raised in a Baptist home in Texas. Unlike Marshall, she did not fully dive into the faith when she became an adult. She kind of moved herself away from it a little bit. But she did keep up some of the... how do I want to say this? She still, read her Bible and stuff. She still knew facts out of... or quotes. I won't call anything in the Bible facts. But she still knew her Bible verses and stuff, okay?
Quasi-facts.
Yeah. Things were good for... Oh, wait. Bonnie met a man named Joseph Siegel Nettles in 1949, and they got married. They had 4 kids together, and they seemed to have a really, really good life until about 1972, when Bonnie began studying astrology, theosophy, and the occult, which, fine. Nothing wrong with learning.
Sure.
Broadening your mind. She began holding seances, which, again, nothing wrong like that. Just make sure you're safe about it and protect yourself.
Right.
And claiming that a long-dead monk was communicating with her. possible. I won't say it's not, but considering. She began going to fortune tellers, and fortune tellers would tell her that she would meet a tall man with light hair and a fair complexion. So when she and Marshall met, however it is they met, they both claimed they had an instant spiritual connection.
She knew it was the one, huh?
He was the one. According to Marshall's sister, Bonnie told Marshall that he had been spared during his near-death experience because he was on a mission. He had a divine mission.
They got sent back.
Boy, I tell you what. And there was also, there was another thing that said that he did a, like a tarot reading or some kind of like spiritual reading for her. Mm-hmm. And they were it. That was it. That was it. So much so, they opened up a bookstore to sell astrology and occult books. It was also a learning center where they would do classes on astrology and occult things. These people are cuckoo banana nuts, man. That's all I can say. So as they spend time together, you can probably imagine that Bonnie's husband was not nice, was not happy, was not happy about this. So they got a divorce. And as far as I can tell, the only child that they kept in contact with throughout all of this was her oldest daughter.
Yeah. How old was she?
I'm not really sure. I want to say when we watched the CNN thing, and I'm not sure when that came out, she was probably in her 30s. Mm-hmm. No, I would say she's probably older if this was the 70s. I want to say she was probably like maybe a teenager or in her early 20s.
Yeah.
When she met Marshall. So, they had a revelation, Bill.
Yeah.
Marshall and Bonnie were the two witnesses from the book of Revelations. Sent here on a mission. Now, Revelations 11 verse 3. And I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. I'm not going to do the whole chapter 11. I've done my time reading the Bible. Y'all go read it if you want to.
Well, Revelations is like some crazy stuff.
It's cuckoo banana nut, man.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They're going to go through all of this. People are going to torment and taunt them. They're going to kill these people. Anyone that torments and taunts them, they're going to kill them.
Right.
And then at the end of their mission, when they're, 1,203 score days is up, a great beast would come up and kill them. And their bodies would lay in the street. You want to know how long their bodies are going to lay in the street, Bill?
How long?
Guess. We're talking about Revelations in the Bible. How long they going to be dead?
I don't know.
3 days.
I was going to say 3.
3 days. God's going to bring them back to life. Okay. And he's going to take them whoop, 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 back up to heaven.
Zombie cultist.
It's in the Bible. Yeah. So there's that. They thought they were the two witnesses from the book of Revelations. So in 1973, they closed down their bookstore and hit the road.
I bet that was strange. Them telling that to people. People are like, huh?
You can find videos of them easily. Like if you want to find something to look at tonight on YouTube, just search Marshall Applewhite. You'll be like, oh, this man.
I might actually do that tonight.
Yeah, he crazy. So they hit the road to spread their philosophy. One of their philosophies was that they did not have to follow man-made law. Of course. So in 1974, the pair were charged with credit card fraud.
So this is like which laws? Like,
any laws.
Money laws, drug laws?
They do not have to follow any man-made laws.
So they were into drugs?
No.
Okay.
But not because it was illegal.
Right.
Okay. In 1974, the pair was charged with credit card fraud. Those charges got dropped, But Marshall would be charged with grand theft auto after renting a car in St. Louis and deciding, you know what? I'm on a divine mission. I am divinely authorized to keep this car for as long as I need it. I shit you not. That's what he said.
I'm going to start doing that with Teslas.
Minnesota said, no. You're going to go to jail for 6 months.
Yeah.
Fucker. Okay.
Grand Theft Auto.
I'll tell you what. So,
I've played the game.
while he spent 6 months in jail, that gave him plenty of time to redefine his beliefs. Okay?
Sure.
Once he was released, he and Bonnie hit the West Coast. In the 70s, how they didn't meet up with a serial killer, I don't know.
Right?
Okay.
There's so many of them.
And actually, I love that, like, I'm looking at my notes, and I'm like, I don't really need to look at most of these, but I'll glance at them for clarification.
Sure.
So this is what when they began, this is what their belief system was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Lay it out.
Jesus is an alien.
I mean, I can see that.
Right? That's why part of me is like, this is all bananas, and then part of me is like, but some of it. They not wrong. So Jesus was an alien who was killed, brought back to life, and taken back to the next level.
See,
Jesus is a next level human, which is an alien, but a human.
some Mormons have, like, beliefs about, like, aliens, too.
That's another cult we can cover another day,
right.
okay?
Go ahead. Keep going.
So, Jesus came from a physical heaven that is above the atmosphere of Earth.
Right
Which,
on.
like, okay.
It's in the clouds somewhere, hidden away.
Yeah.
Or we can't see it.
So Marshall and Bonnie claim to be walk-ins who were next-level humans, the consciousness that was put into a human vessel on this earth. And once their mission was done, a UFO was going to come back and get them and take them back to the next level.
Nice.
And they're here to gather as many people with them to take back to the next level because the earth is going to undergo a cataclysmic event that will end humankind.
I mean, I could see that too.
I mean, again, they're not wrong.
It's already happened once that we know of.
They're not wrong. But, so, yeah. There's all that.
Right on.
But, to be able to go to the next level, we as humans have to remove all humanly wants and desires. Okay?
Right on.
We have to remove all traces of identity and autonomy. Okay?
Alrighty. That one's not so alright, I guess.
That one's not so fun, is it?
I mean, you lose yourself.
And so this is an interesting cult because it's not just based off of the religion. They did heavily lean on scripture from the New Testament because Jesus, right?
See, that's why I never went into the military, because I couldn't, lose myself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another cult we can cover.
Yeah, right.
Day. That would be an interesting one to have Adam Kokesh on.
It would be cool.
Kokesh.
Hey, Adam.
Kokesh for president 2024.
Adam versus the man.
I don't even know if he's running next year or not.
I don't know either. I hadn't seen a lot from him lately.
It's next
Although
year.
I don't keep up with him as much as I used to.
The next election is next year.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself.
I know.
Anyways, but they didn't just go off of the New Testament. They also went off of, science, kind of.
Right.
Because, aliens.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesus and aliens.
And astrology.
And astrology. Oh, astrology plays a huge part in this.
Which is, I like astrology. Astrology is cool, but...
But, okay, so, here's how it goes. You have to be very strict with these rules, because if you fall out of line of one of these rules, you're not getting on the ship.
So they kick you out?
Yes.
Like,
yes. Thankfully, they didn't, other than the mass suicide at the end, they didn't physically harm anyone in like a physical abuse type of way.
They didn't like kill you and then bury
No.
you and you're out of the cult.
No. No. So here we go. No sex, of course. No food or alcohol. Or no, you get food, but no alcohol or drugs. Your food, everybody eats the same thing. Like, and this isn't like, you make a family meal and everybody eats the same thing. And then for breakfast, you might have something different, or somebody doesn't put something on their plate because they don't like it. Right. Everyone ate the exact same thing.
Like, same portions.
Same portion size, same drink, same everything. The exact same thing.
That's
and
a little
food
weird.
was not, you were not allowed to take pleasure from food. Huh. Food was not an experience like I prefer food to be.
So they gave them slop.
They didn't give, they ate nutritionally-ish, I guess, because they still had to keep their vessels alive.
Right.
Right? But you were not supposed to enjoy it because that was a human experience. And we are shedding our humanity, remember?
Right.
Yeah, which of course, no sex, because, oh no, couldn't watch mainstream TV.
I could not be in this cult.
I could not be in this. Like,
I love food too much.
I love food, and you gonna take my flour away from me, and we gonna fight. Not only that, but everybody, you weren't allowed to watch mainstream TV. You could only watch what Marshall and Bonnie approved. And a lot of it was stuff that they actually made.
Right.
And just so you know, I'm going to do a name flip on them coming up real soon.
I wonder if they did Nova. Like, watch the Nova show.
That's possible.
Maybe.
That one's possible, because Nova's pretty darn educational.
I mean, it's just like science.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They would have to, like, watch it first to make sure that it aligned with the bullshit that they were telling their followers.
Sure.
And then if it did, they could be like, oh yeah, you can watch this.
Yeah.
So you had to get a haircut. Everybody had to have like the same like short kind of bowl-ish style.
Bowl cut?
Kind of cut. It wasn't like a straight bowl cut, but they were all quote unquote genderless hairstyles.
High and tight.
Might as well have been. And everybody had to wear baggy clothes because you could not show your body off.
Right.
For two reasons. One, because you're not supposed to have a gender.
Yeah.
You're all one race, one whatever. And two...
Like a Ken doll.
Yes. And two, because these titties might make some man get all horny.
You can see he wasn't a Ken doll after that.
Right. Like, oh no, you have a penis.
It's a snake.
Yeah. They were restricted from wearing any jewelry, and they had to choose new names. Now, the jewelry bit, this, I believe, happens later on in the cult, but I remember watching a part, and I did not look this up because I was like, there was so much information. But I do remember a part of that show where they have a marriage ceremony, and everybody marries Marshall. Like, everybody in the cult marries Marshall. And the only jewelry they are allowed to wear is a simple golden wedding band. And I remember watching, like, they did, like, a dramatization, and people were, like, kneeling in front of him, and he put a ring on their finger, and then he kissed their hand, and I was like, I am not okay with this.
That's a bunch of laws right there being broken.
It is so bizarre.
I mean, if they legally did it, you know what I'm saying? Did they legally go through with that?
Well, they didn't, like, go through with legal marriages.
Okay.
It was, like, a ceremony.
Right.
To bind yourself to this guy.
Right.
They had to change their names, and in the beginning, they told them to use... And I don't remember it. There's one name in the New Testament that gets used a lot. They took like the last 3 letters of that word and then told them to put 3 consonants on the front of it. So you'd have something like LVVODY. Lavati.
Right.
Like, Okay. However, Marshall and Bonnie decided to change their names to Doe and T. So I will be calling them Doe and T from here on out.
Right on.
Wrap your brain around it.
Doty. Like the fire.
Dee-dee.
Like the firewood.
Duty.
That would doty.
But essentially they wanted it to have some sort of like Jesus reference to it, but they also wanted it to kind of be meaningless. Mm-hmm. Because, and again, our names give us our identities.
Sure.
You know, like my name Felicia, I know my name means happiness, which is like ironic. But
My name's just John in Scottish.
yeah, it's a great name though.
John.
Eon. Alright, so in 1976,
Juan.
Juan, they started their test. They started to test their followers. And this feels a lot like Jim Jones. Because Jim Jones used to test his followers by telling them, we're going to do it now and make them drink Kool-Aid and then nobody would die.
Right.
And not even Kool-Aid, Flavor Aid, the cheap bastard.
It's kind of, what do they call that? Coaching or,
I don't know what like the specific name for it, but it is like a, I wouldn't say a brainwashing tactic, but it kind of is in that, you know.
what is it for like little kids? Like, not coaching, but, what do they call it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
So they would gather their followers in a field, claim that a UFO was on the way to take them back to the next level. But of course, come morning, everybody was still standing in the field like a bunch of dumb idiots. And they would just say, you know what? Sorry, we did kind of lie. But this was a test. We just have to make sure you're loyal to the cause and the mission.
Right.
The mission. And that is what, that went with money as well. Anytime anybody got like a huge settlement, I think one of them got like a huge inheritance. Mm-hmm. And of course the money went into the cult.
Right.
For the good of the group. They used, one person's they used to buy like a house in California and in Colorado. Or maybe it was Oregon. I don't know. They just like with any other cult, they take their followers' money.
Sure.
And use it, quote unquote, for the good of the group.
Yep. Stealing their money.
Mm-hmm. And Doe was extremely paranoid. And he did not want, they had a very strict guideline for who they would allow into the group. Mm-hmm. Because Doe was afraid that the government was going to infiltrate their group.
I bet.
And take them down from the inside out. This man was cuckoo bananas. So,
sure.
They didn't even really allow relationships within the group. Like, they didn't want the followers getting close to each other. Mm-hmm. They needed advice, or if they just wanted to talk to somebody, they had to go find Doe or T.
Try to keep them, like, singled out.
Yeah, they wanted them completely loyal unto them and to have no loyalty to anybody else, including people within the group.
Right.
Because Doe, especially Marshall, was afraid that somebody would try to overthrow him. He wanted his power, he wanted to keep it, and he would do literally any motherfucking thing to keep it.
Right.
I had wrote, followers were encouraged to think of what their leaders would do, kind of like, what would Jesus do, but instead it would be, what would Doe and T do?
Right.
They even went as far as discouraging friendships, I said that, and of course romantic relationships, out of the motherfucking question.
Right.
So much so that Doe and either 7 or 8 of his followers willfully got castrated. Yes. That was a part in the CNN show that we watched. They had a former follower, and I don't remember his name. He was talking about it, and it was disturbing because even now, in the 2020s, like 50 years after this happened, he still seemed kind of upset because he wasn't the first one to get castrated.
Huh.
He wanted to be the first one to get castrated to prove his loyalty.
Right.
And even after the guy that did get castrated ended up in the hospital.
What the heck?
Due to an infection, because they didn't go to a doctor. They had one of their members who used to be a nurse cut his balls off.
What?
Man ended up in the hospital, and the guy was still upset because, like, oh, he definitely can show that he is the most loyal follower. He did this, he even got an infection and had to go to the hospital. And he's still here. He's so loyal, man.
That's horrible.
I would give up my nuts for you, okay? Sorry. Unfortunately, they would have to turn to modern medicine and doctors when, in 1983, T developed cancer. She ended up having to have an eye removed. But unfortunately, it began to spread to the rest of her body.
Right.
During this whole time, Doe and T swore up and down that she would not die.
Right.
Because she was on a mission.
Yeah.
Her vessel was a little sick, but she was not going to die because she was here to do a mission.
Right.
And in 1985, T died. And, you know...
There went that theory.
Yeah. But one of my favorite quotes from Friends, pivot! Pivot! Doe just pivots.
Right.
He was like, listen, you know what? Her vessel was weak because her spirit was so strong. Her vessel just couldn't hold it inside.
Right.
And so her spirit went back to the next level. And you know what? We don't even really need our bodies to get to the next level. These are just vessels. It's our spirit inside that's going to be taken to the mothership.
Right.
And then we'll get alien bodies to live on the next level.
Because they're stronger, right?
Yep. Pivot! He pivoted so hard on that one. And I guess it worked because only one member left after T's death. Okay. And so, yeah, they're going to leave their bodies behind now. Their energy will go onto the UFO to be taken to the next level. And wouldn't you know it, there's a very special body. Doe's been holding out on them. There's a very special spirit that has inhabited his body.
Yeah.
He is not who you think he is.
Is he Doe and T?
He's Jesus.
Oh.
He's Jesus.
Right on.
He is Jesus Christ.
He should have been using them healing hands.
Like, the man took away people's blindnesses and healed lepers. I don't know why you can't get rid of her cancer, sir.
Right.
Sorry. I'd lost my place.
You're good.
I'm using paper. It's hard. So this is when they started making videos and ads trying to get their philosophy out to the world.
Right.
Okay, they didn't just keep this to the United States. They sent this shit out across the globe, which I can only imagine how somebody in India was sitting there watching them going, what the fuck is wrong with this man? Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. But, and these are the videos that you can find online where there'll be like 2 or 3 members sitting there listening to Doe talk. Doe's face is like right here in the screen and he's telling you this stuff. He's really into it. And his eyes are like this big and his pupils are itty bitty teeny tiny. And then you look, they like pan over to the members and the members are sitting there with this weird creepy smile on their face, just like nodding their head.
Huh.
And again, I was high when I watched this, so I'm just sitting there like, oh, this is fucking weird. And I don't remember a lot of this. Like, I vaguely remember hearing about it. You might remember because you were 5 years older than me.
Right.
But in 95 or 96, the Hellbop comet came into view.
Sure.
You remember Hellbop?
Yeah.
I do not own the rights to that Hanson song. Now, Doe is claiming that there's a UFO behind that comet. Which is weird because when I was looking up about the Hale-Bopp, there was a mass that was like following parallel with the comet. And nobody ever figured out what it was.
That's strange.
They were not here for dough. Okay?
Right.
Not here for dough. Yeah, so Hellbop. So this led Doe to claim that there was a UFO coming in with the comet. So you know what? The best thing and the easiest way to get off this godforsaken planet before it explodes and everybody dies is just to kill yourself.
Right.
Release the spirit. And obviously they're not killing themselves. They're releasing their spirits from their vessels.
Right.
So that they can be beamed up by Scotty. They can go to the next level.
Sure.
And so this is when they kind of ramped up their time trying to get their message out. They even went so much as to take out a full-page letter or a full-page ad in USA Today.
Wow.
Like,
I want to say I heard something about that, like, in the past.
Yeah, like, time is coming to an end. There's a UFO ship behind Hellbop Comet. If you want to leave this Earth before humanity is wiped from existence, come join our group, and we will ascend to the next level. Like, they even went so far as to, like, they would go out and have talks, and they would, like, meet people. And it wasn't really Doe. Doe didn't go out as much because he was super paranoid at this point.
Sure.
After T died. But, like, you can find videos of them sitting there having meetings with, like, large groups of people. And people are like, so what's so different about your group than, like, Jim Jones?
Right.
And I'm like... One guy was like, well, if you can't tell the difference between us and Jim Jones, you just weren't listening. And I was like, oh, snotty mother. Okay. But again, Doe was becoming increasingly paranoid. He believed the government was planning an attack on the group. He actually got to a point where he quit allowing people to join unless they were like former members or something wanting to come back.
Right.
Which I want to say hundreds of people went in and out of this cult over the...
That's crazy.
What was it, 20-something years that it was
right
active? Hundreds of people went in and out of this cult. So on March 21st, 1997, the group went out for a last meal. And of course, they all had the same meal. They had turkey pot pie, cheesecake with blueberries, and iced tea.
See? Slop.
Sir, turkey pot pies are delicious. You hush. Starting somewhere around the 22nd or the 23rd, they all got dressed in their matching Nikes. This is not an ad for Nike. This is just what these people were wearing on their feet.
So they all got to wear Nikes?
And black tracksuits.
I mean, that sounds kind of pimp.
That had patches on it that read, Heaven's Gate Away Team.
Okay, that's... Never mind.
Over the span of 3 days, members took barbiturates with vodka and then put bags over their heads.
Wow.
Doe was the fourth to the last person to die. He was assisted by 3 of his followers before they then took their own lives. On the 26th...
That sounds like a horrible way to die.
Right. Which see, this is really messed up because I really had to think about it. Like, the barbiturates and the vodka would probably make you pass out
before you even died.
Yeah, you would pass out, like, and then the bag would just suffocate you, and you really... I mean, I have a feeling...
Yeah, but what if you, like, puked in the bag?
Oh, that would
you know
be
what I
foul.
mean? It would be
And
so
then you're,
horrible.
like, sucking your puke in because you can't breathe.
Right.
Sorry, guys. Like, I know this is TMI, and we are not in any way trying to make light of suicide. But it's one of those things that you think about, you know? Like, if you really think about it, like, that is... And I can imagine, like, your body would take over after a while, even if you were on barbiturates, unless you were, like, heavily, heavily drugged.
Yeah, I'm sure adrenaline would kick in, and you'd be like, ugh.
Yeah. So, on the 26th, police got a tip and went to the mansion to find all 39 followers dead. They were covered with purple shrouds and had a bag with a little money and an ID beside each of them. Doe was found seated in his bed. I don't know why. So there's a lot to be said about Heaven's Gate and the psychological control that is used in cults like Heaven's Gate.
Sure.
It is disturbing to see the exact same kind of loyalty and fanaticism in 2023 with, say, a basketball player or a political leader.
Sure.
That people had in the 60s and 70s when there were 50 million cults across the country.
Sure.
People can't see the similarities between it, but I mean, honestly, you have somebody that sits up there and yells and screams and says, if you don't do this, then this is going to happen, and it's going to be your fault. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to die.
And there's no questioning of it whatsoever.
And you cannot question it. You cannot have a single independent thought in your brain.
Right.
Politics is a cult. Religion is a cult.
Sure.
Like, and, you know, people might yell and scream about that. Yes, religion is a cult. There's a difference between religion and spiritual practice.
Sure.
And religions that force you to act a certain way and do not let you have any sort of autonomy outside of what their little book says. That's a fucking cult.
Yeah.
Come at me. I dare you. I'm ready to fight. Come at me. But yeah, I mean, if you just yell loud enough, people are going to fall in line. And that's a cult leader.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who would swear that they would never fall victim to a cult, but I've seen those exact same people posting shit on social media acting like it's the word of God or like it's fact written in stone when they could take a 2-second Google search to find out it's not true.
Right.
But they shared it because somebody that they idolize and who can do no wrong posted it.
Yeah.
So it must be true.
Right.
Like, it's not.
I know it.
Not.
Well, they just turn themselves into victims, basically.
Yeah. None of us should follow any person's spiritual belief or political party so closely that we lose our ability to question the status quo.
Right.
That is what I take away from that. Or so closely that our whole personality revolves around something else.
Sure.
You know? So that's my takeaway from that. What do you think about the Heaven's Gate, Bill?
I don't know. It's a pretty weird cult.
It's one of the most bizarre cults I think I've heard of.
Sure.
At all. Like, I've heard of a couple of other, like, alien cults out there, but never one that took it quite to the level and extreme that Marshall...
Right.
Sorry for all the noise, folks. I'm putting up my paper notes. Not to the level that Marshall and T took it. Like...
Right.
Or Doe and T. Marshall and Bonnie. So
Yeah.
can you wrap your head around that?
Sure.
Alright, guys. We hope you enjoy our episode on Heaven's Gates today. If you have any comments, head on over to Instagram at The Paranormal Lovers. You can send us an email at theparanormallovers@yahoo.com. If you feel so inclined, you can get episodes the same day we record if you join our Patreon at The Paranormal Lovers. And then on Wednesdays when the episodes drop, I will upload a audio video to YouTube, and I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to get captions. There we go. I'm trying to find out the easiest way to figure out the easiest way to get captions on these full-length videos.
Sure.
Is that all of our stuff?
I think.
I always forget. I'm pretty sure it's all of our stuff. Yeah. And we will see you guys next week for another episode.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.